Durano appeared to be spelling out messages to our camera in sign language. Those court documents make it seem like he was going through some sort of delusions when he was arrested, but police say he had enough mental wherewithal to know to hide from them. We were just driving north back from our story to the station, and you could see the smoke across the skyline, and we just ended up kind of getting into the path that is this fire. Chaos is really a good word to describe this because it is rush hour. There are a lot of people who are trying to get home right now. And if you take a look in this immediate intersection that's behind me, there are no crews. This suspect has no known criminal record, which leads to a very big question. What led up to this shooting?
You can see the smoke, you can see the fire from two of these buildings across the street. Firefighters are putting out one of the fires as there's still hundreds of people still out.
That owner, Peyton Jones, has had this business for about 10 years, and she prides herself on being a part of this community as well as providing jobs to several women who work here. Yesterday, their sense of safety was taken away through this window. Music going on, they got food, they got vendors, and then of course, they got some roller skating. These guys have been out here since noon going around. But while there's so much fun down here in the Central District, what do you think about tonight?
It's incredible. Whatever happens, happens tonight, but the fans are showing up and showing out, just like Marshawn said.
Yeah, well, we'll be here throughout the night reporting live in Queen Anne Beer Hall. I'm AJ Janavel for Fox 13 News. Oh my gosh, it's hot in there. Cameras inside the bank captured the suspects, but they were wearing masks. Luckily, a camera on the outside of the bank captured one of the suspects putting their mask on, getting a clearer view of their face. I spoke to law enforcement. They gave me some tips on how you can make sure that your packages stay yours this holiday season. So a lot of people get notifications sent right to their phone when their package arrives. Law enforcement suggests making sure you're home when that happens, or getting to know your neighbors and having them keep an eye out for your stuff when it arrives. When you leave the precinct, you're going to get yourself the lock and the key. Installation is simple. You just extend the lock, and then the law enforcement says these locks are only a deterrent to thieves, especially experienced ones. Brandon says on the surface, things seemed on the up and up. The person was able to answer all of his questions and his concerns. But Brandon says when he looked a little bit closer, things were not what they seemed. What we're talking about, it's a hose bib, and this is what you see outside of your house, but what you don't see is the pipe that is in the house. And what happens is when you have the hose bib turned off, go. Billy and Sophia Tsaruk had big changes on the horizon.
She was going to become a girl mom.
How we thought it's going, but
A little sister coming for the couple's 18-month-old son, Logan. And a recent 4-year anniversary was the perfect reason to celebrate in Hawaii.
Everybody's worked so hard, and we said, hey, we're going to take a trip out and just go and relax.
Tony is Billy's older brother. His wife, Tia, went from Sophia's best friend to her sister. Tia tells me Sophia shared a lot with her.
I was asking her about baby names, and she says, I really like the name Melody.
there'll be no more sickness, no more sorrow.
If you knew Sophia or Billy, the name makes perfect sense.
They both sang. She loved to sing. Worship was her life. They both were on the worship team, and that's all she did. And the morning she left, she was singing. She was singing, Lord be with me.
On Saturday morning, the couples decided to go snorkeling in the waters of Maui. It would be the last time Tony and Tia saw them alive.
A man running to us, and he came up to us and he's asking, was there a third party with you guys? And we were like, yeah, and he said, they were just screaming for help down there.
Tia tells me Billy and Sophia drowned. Crews could not revive them or save their unborn daughter.
All praying for a miracle, but it didn't happen.
We were praying for Sophia and Billy, and they never came back to us.
Tony tells me his brother and sister-in-law were beloved. Billy, always there for anyone in need. Sophia, a nurse, cared for everyone and had such strong faith.
I feel like she would just want her voice to be heard and her story to be that voice for other people. The time is short, and spend it with your loved ones, love Jesus, and be ready to go.
How excited are you?
Reporting in Snohomish County, AJ Janavel,
Fox 13 News.
We're having a girl. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Hannah, that owner, Peyton Jones, has had this business for about 10 years, and she prides herself on being a part of this community, as well as providing jobs to several women who work here. Yesterday, their sense of safety was taken away through this window.
I really felt like I was going to be shot.
8 years ago, Peyton Jones took a leap of faith.
I bought my business as a single mom. You know, I raising my daughter in there with me.
Nearly a decade later, the people who drive through Revive Coffee
You guys got plans for the rest of your day?
are more than just customers.
I memorized people's names, their drinks, what they did last weekend, what they have going on. Like, these people are family.
That's why what happened Thursday is so shocking.
I've never had a gun pointed at me.
Thursday morning, Jones tells me this woman ran up to her window and threatened her and her employee.
I don't want to kill you. I don't want to do none of that.
Cameras show the terrifying situation from inside the coffee stand. And despite this nightmare, Jones went back to work that day.
I can't take that time to, like, miss out on opportunities, you know, to pay our bills.
She tells me in total, this gunwoman and getaway driver made off with about $100. But she says they took so much more from her.
Something's got to change. You know, I mean, that could have easily been a really bad day. Like, my kids, sorry, my kids could have had to bury their mom.
Just heartbreaking hearing Jones say that. She tells me she's sharing her story for two reasons. One, she wants justice for her and her employees, but two, she wants to highlight the crime that is happening in this area. Now, Pierce County deputies are asking for your help. If you know anything, you can either reach out to them or to Crime Stoppers anonymously. We'll have information on how to do that at fox13seattle.com. Reporting live in Tacoma, I'm AJ Janavel, Fox 13 News. Look, Matt, Mando, they did their homework, they did some research, there's some math behind this. This rating is based on the average reviews and scores for the pizza places throughout the country. It also looks at how many pizza places are available, and they even look into see how often people are searching the word pizza. But even with all of that data, as you mentioned, it's still a pretty hot take for people when they hear that Seattle is #1. The city of Seattle is known for a lot of things.
Pike Place Fish Market's a big one.
The outdoors.
The music scene.
The water, the ocean.
Definitely the rain.
But one thing that historically doesn't make that list?
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
Order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude.
Cheese pizza.
Best pizza you've ever had, period.
Best pizza I've ever had, New York City for sure.
I like New York.
The best pizza I ever had was Angelo's in Philadelphia.
According to Mando Media's study, New York is ranked #4, and Philly doesn't even make the top 50, but Seattle ranks #1.
Did a Seattle person post that?
Pizza in Seattle is pretty average.
I don't see how many rational or sane people could ever come to that conclusion.
Don't let Jake Brislauer hear that slander.
But only because I don't like the Yankees, I'll say, yeah, we're absolutely better than New York. Yeah.
The GM of Big Mario's Pizza in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood tells me the Big Apple is a big inspiration.
And we try to make it as close to New York style as possible.
But with a PNW twist.
You know, Seattle likes to be weird and creative with their foods.
Because I know people are going to try this when they come.
A statement Lee Kindell takes to heart.
This is an evolution of pizza.
Kindell is the founder of Moto Pizza.
This is where all the magic happens.
He tells me he worked to merge New York, Italian, and Midwestern styles with a touch of Seattle to what he calls his odd pizzas.
It's a unique expression of who I am. It's a unique expression of my culture and of the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, this is a very special pie.
All right, Matt, Hannah, let's think about this. So Seattle has New York beat now with pizza. I think the M's beat the Yankees last night, too. And when you think about the Big Apple, I've never really heard of New York City known as anything else. So, but Washington's pretty good with apples. That being said, if you want to see that full list of all the reviews, you can go to Fox 13 Seattle. I'm gonna do a little bit more research for myself, though. I'll see y'all.
No, AJ, come back. Come back. I want to talk to you.
Oh, you want me to come back, Hannah?
But the thing is,
I was trying to walk away with my pizza.
No, come back. Come back.
More research to do.
The magic of TV is broken.
Behind you,
Yes.
it says New York style pizza. You okay? Is your pizza safe? It says New York style pizza.
I lost one.
Right. But it's a slap in the face. The fact that we're #1 and then you have a sign behind you that says New York style pizza. I mean, can we talk about that?
I was talking to Jake just to see what it would take to get the new the lighting to say Seattle style there. He said they're working on it, but no, you're right. I mean, you got Seattle dogs now. You got teriyaki born here, so the Seattle pizza I think is going to start popping up around at all the shops in town.
All right, well, we saw the pizza fall. Make sure you expense that, AJ. This is serious research.
It was empty, Matt. It was empty. We still got some here. I'll bring some back for y'all. Don't worry.
Love it.
Oh,
that one was empty. We already ate that one.
All right, AJ.
Grace and Sam Wilkinson's case ruled that DCYF deliberately refused to see Sam for who he is, a loving father and husband. Sam Wilkinson will always remember how he felt when he saw Sequoia for the first time after growing up adopted, never knowing his birth parents.
That was such a surreal moment for me because it was the very first moment that I laid eyes on my own blood.
And Sam can't forget that day, 7 months later, when a doctor took her from him and how he felt then.
I'm a person that believes that through most circumstances, life goes on. But the thought of not having my daughter doesn't really feel like life would go on.
Sam and his wife, Grace, lost custody of their daughter by being good parents. February 25th, they rushed Sequoia to an urgent care. When they saw she was holding her arm funny, they ordered an x-ray. It showed Sequoia actually had a fracture, and the family should go immediately to Seattle Children's Hospital because she needed surgery. But at Children's, everything changed.
We felt like criminals from the get-go. Just because of the nature of a 7-month-old having a fracture, it's not common. You could just tell that the whole dynamic changed.
The injury, because it was uncommon, was treated as evidence. One or both parents were responsible. It was a medical certainty.
That's really what it is that it was a diagnosis of child abuse, not just an accusation. They diagnosed our daughter with child abuse. I didn't know what the SCAN team was until we got an attorney.
SCAN stands for Safe Child and Adolescent Network. It's a team of pediatricians under contract with Washington's Department of Children, Youth, and Families who have special training to decide whether a child's injury is from abuse or neglect. The SCAN pediatrician handling Sequoia's case was Dr. Elena Feldman. And in her expert opinion, the x-rays showed at least 3 more broken bones besides Sequoia's elbow.
The doctor on the SCAN team, Elena Feldman, stated that these injuries were better understood as like child abuse injuries.
The situation felt hopeless, but Sam and Grace weren't helpless.
When we heard Elena Feldman, the name for the doctor, they decided they wanted to look her up.
It was there that we found your story on Casey.
Ready? Set.
In February, we brought you the story of Casey Sigmund and her baby boy Kane. Like the Wilkinsons, Casey had brought her son to Seattle Children's Hospital. And like the Wilkinsons, she was blindsided by the SCAN team's determination that Kane had a sure sign of abuse. Even the doctor who made the diagnosis was the same, Dr. Elena Feldman. The judge ruled Dr. Feldman had made a mistake. There were no signs of abuse or neglect, and Casey and Kane were reunited. Buoyed by Casey's story, Sam and Grace reached out to her for any advice she could give to turn their situation around.
And the next day, my mom got a message back, and Casey's like, you guys need to hire a lawyer.
Attorney Elena Treball was fresh from winning a child custody battle against DCYF when Sam and Grace hired her. Treball's first move was clear.
I wanted to ensure that we had a second opinion, time to figure out what exactly happened to Sequoia.
If DCYF had SCAN, the Wilkinsons had Dr. Naran Alajba.
You have a child abuse team, so you need a child abuse defense team. Dr. Alajba is a practicing pediatrician with more than 2 decades of experience. She's also an instructor on staff at Seattle Children's Hospital, and for the past several years, she's been brought in to consult on alleged child abuse cases. After reviewing Sequoia's case, 3 things became clear. 1, neither Sam nor Grace hurt Sequoia.
2 weeks after the original person says there's a break, there should be a bright white thing happening here.
I don't see anything.
No, of course not. Here, same thing. Do you see anything? No, it all looks good.
We shared what we had found, which was that we believe Sequoia has marks of poor bone formation, which is a relatively common condition for newborn babies.
2, Dr. Feldman's diagnosis was done sight unseen.
We've learned not only through testimony, but also through, the scan team's own records, that they do not believe it is medically necessary to personally examine the patient prior to making their diagnoses.
And 3, the social workers back at the hospital had already decided who was to blame.
They asked me how Sam was in the house and his behavior and how he treated Sequoia and I. And so I could connect the dots of like, okay, now they're trying to pin this on Sam.
Misread x-rays, misjudged character that led to a mistaken diagnosis of abuse. But would the court agree? At the Wilkinson's custody hearing, Judge Nicole Gaines Phelps reached the same conclusion. And she found the scan team made its decisions based on conscious and unconscious bias towards people that come from minority communities, particularly Black and brown communities.
They had no problem diagnosing child abuse, but then when it came time to explain why they made that diagnosis, they couldn't show up.
For a judge to use their position to call out and just name that it was racial bias. I was sitting next to him and we both just took a deep breath in that moment and just cried.
I reached out to officials from both Seattle Children's Hospital and DCYF for on-camera interviews regarding this story. An official from DCYF told me they cannot comment on cases. Seattle Children's did not answer my request for an interview. Reporting in the studio, AJ Janavel, Fox 13 News.
They were trying to get in. You can see someone had an axe and they kept slamming into this. I'm gonna go around the corner because there's another vehicle that they are now. This is a King County Metro building. You can see people on top of it, smashing it in, using some kind of device to break it. People bashing in different vehicles. Again, on the other side, that vehicle is still on fire. We had, for a brief moment, those flashing lights of law enforcement coming down the street. I'm gonna step away. Can you make sure that Mike is okay? Okay, good.
AJ, we want to make sure that you guys are safe because things are escalating. Are you guys okay out there?
We have security with us, Hannah. In this situation, we're surrounded by people, but we do have security who are with us. Now look, I want to show you guys, as I have a little bit more of a chance. Mike, you're fine where you are, because I'm gonna. So here is that unit that was coming down the street. You hear the sirens and you can see them coming. Now I want to show you right here on Pike. You saw it yourselves. Hundreds of people now gone, but still, that car still on fire. The smoke, the black clouds of smoke billowing up into the sky. But there are people who are taking selfies in front of it, taking pictures in front of it. The continued sound of the smashed windshields as these people have now made their way into this King County vehicle that has a lights on top of it. Here's someone that's driving down the street in front of what was those members of law enforcement. These are people driving down the street. There are people on skateboards. This is, the only word for it is chaos. Everywhere you look are people running around. Cars are on fire. People are breaking into buildings. Everywhere you look, people have handfuls of goods that they've looted. Fireworks being shot off in the street. The only way to describe this right now is just lawlessness. Again, just 1 block away though is law enforcement. You can see how far they are from what's going on. Stopped. Here we are 1 block away in what, again, can only be described as chaos. I want to, Mike, have you just do a slow pan, slow as we look at this intersection of Pike, and be aware that we're gonna have you. I'm just gonna have you step back, buddy. Just do a slow pan for me, so these folks at home can see what's happening. Pike and 4th. Earlier we were at Pike and 5th. We saw what was going on at Pike at 6th. This is not centralized to any specific part of downtown. People are breaking into buildings. They're breaking into businesses.
AJ, you had mentioned that you see some police cruisers far away. Is there any indication that they're making their way over there? Where is the law enforcement officers right now?
Hannah, if you don't mind, I'm so sorry. Could you ask that once more, please?
Yes, so we see the SWAT cars, or we see some police presence 2 blocks away from you, but we don't actually see anyone on foot. So where is the police presence? Is that a question that you are having right now?
I guess the honest answer is it takes some time to make their way down, because where they are stationed right now is where we were a short while ago. The thing about what's happening is this isn't centralized to one specific area. You can't tell law enforcement to go to 4th and Pine or go to 5th and Pine or 6th and Pine, because it's everywhere downtown, Hannah. And so the question is, how do you get this under control? What do you do to get what is thousands of people who are just completely lawless back to some sort of some normalcy? Well, it's going to take You can see behind me the presence from law enforcement finally making their way. You have sheriff, you have police, and you have these large units with the flashing lights. About a dozen to 2 dozen members of law enforcement. It look like they're wearing more gear than usual. They're making their way down Pike Street to where we were just standing. You can see the smoke, you can see the fire from 2 of these buildings across the street. Firefighters are putting out one of the fires as there's still hundreds of people still out. Now we're walking with law enforcement surrounded by hundreds of people as they're making their way through 4th. Behind them is a car that is fully engulfed. As you were mentioning, David and Hannah, that is that King County Metro Transit. So what happens though now, as these officers are making their way through this area, the crowds are able to disperse to other parts of the city. This is the largest amount of police that I've seen downtown throughout the entire day. Even during the original protest, there was a line of officers who were there, but they did not number this amount. We're looking at least 100 officers who are coming down Pike, and as they make their way down, the crowds are making their way through different parts of downtown. The numbers of folks who were here earlier have now gone down by a lot, but that doesn't mean that they're leaving. They're just moving to different parts of the city. Earlier when we were out here, I heard one of the people say, make sure you have your exit strategy planned because they're flanking us. So these people are planning where they're gonna go as officers are able to get to them. Again, we're being surrounded by what is at least 100 officers. Heads up, heads up, heads up. Look, right here, right here. Do you see this shot right here with the King County Sheriff? There.
I can't hear you. I gotta go.
All right, so there. Can we just take cover right? We're gonna take cover right here. Yes, yes, yes. All right, guys, we're gonna head out of here because this is some gas, and it's starting to affect us, how we can breathe, how we can speak. So We're gonna make our way back to
Yeah, AJ, you're gonna find it very hard to talk because they're firing pepper balls.